guys, let's put together a card. The stamp set that I'm using is a Darcy's stamp set, and I don't have the packaging for it. Again, the only stamps I keep in their original packaging are my May Made It stamps and now my Mindless Crafting stamps, because I hang them on the pegboard next to me from their original packaging. You know, this place here. Because I use them more often than the others. And I have so many stamp sets now, and unfortunately, until I stamped out these images, I had never used this, but I've owned it a long time. Now what I do with all of my other stamp sets is I have sleeves much like these that I just take the stamp set with the printed acetate and then the back protective acetate, and I pop them in there, and then I typically, this is not the one this goes in, I typically have a label on there of who the company is. And I think the stamp set's called a Waffle Lot or something like that. Anyway, it's adorable, and that's the one I'm using. Finally. I've had it forever. So, I bought it right after it came out, actually. I stamped out this little waffle guy, and he has stick arms and legs, and I didn't want them because of how I'm doing this card. But if you're like me and you're terrible at fussy cutting, but you want his little arms and legs, something you could do is stamp him down on wherever you want him, the whole image, and then if you want, say you want to fussy cut him, say you want to stamp, color, and fussy cut so that you can pop it up like I've done this guy, but you still want his arms and legs, you could stamp, color, fussy cut, just whatever the image is, and then stamp it down again on the surface you're going to put it on so that you have the arms and legs, and then you just place this guy popped up on top, and it looks like he has his arms and legs. Because there's no way I could fussy cut those arms and legs. No way. I'm terrible. Anyway, that's the stamp set that I'm using. I'm using the little maple syrup, the waffle, and this I Like You a Waffle Lot. Then there's I Miss You a Waffle Lot, We're Better Together, and You Cake Me Feel Special. I'm using the I Like You a Waffle Lot. And I might put these little pancakes on the inside, maybe. Mine is shorter because I did a terrible time at fussy cutting this bottom pancake, so I cut it off. And then I have my waffle syrup that I also popped up on foam. So that's what I'm using. I'm using a standard A2 size card base. That's a store-bought, pre-made card base. It's 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. I have two mats that go on the inside. The first one is cut at 4 by 5 1/4, and the second one is cut at 3 7/8 by 5. I liked this little pattern because it reminded me of a picnic. I don't know why it appealed to me with breakfast foods, but it did. Anyway, on the outside, my first mat is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8, and my second mat is 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. And then I have this little doily, but I want to stamp my sentiment on the outside, so I got out one of my stitched circle dies that fits the center pretty well. So I'm going to stamp my sentiment on there, and then I'm going to put my little waffle and the little syrup, and then I might put the pancakes on the inside. Maybe. So that's what I'm doing. It's a quick, easy card, but that's alright. I stamped them out the other day because I've been going through my stamps to de-stash some of them. And I found this one and was like, oh my gosh, this is not the only one that I found that I haven't used. I'm embarrassed to say. But I went nuts a while back buying all kinds of crafty things, stamps and all kinds of things. And I haven't used a lot of the stuff that I bought. For some reason this edge looks crooked, so I'm going to trim it a little bit. And then I'm just using my ATG, and I'll probably use my wet glue if it's not stopped up. If it is, then I'll work around it. I started to record this earlier and my phone rang, and it was my best male friend since I was a teenager, really. We were inseparable for years. I mean, years. And just, life. As you grow older and you got kids and things and spouses, life takes over. And you just kind of lose contact with one another. And I don't go on Facebook very often at all. Matter of fact, I think I go on there maybe once every 3 or 4 months. I don't know. I just don't overshare on there. I talk a lot about my life on here, but there's just, I don't know. I just think, I don't know. I shouldn't say anything. I put this too far over. Ooh, well, I'm going to have to trim it down because I'm not going to tear it up. Anyway, he called me out of the blue, and we were on the phone for 2 hours after that. But see, he and I have always had that kind of friendship where once you start talking, it's like you've never not talked. It's like you've talked every day for years. We've just always had that type of friendship. And he's like a brother to me. His sister is one of those funerals that I had to go to. And I, talked to him several times after that, but again, life. I gotta keep an eye on my camera because my memory might get full. And it did the last time I filmed. And I didn't know it, so I had to scrap that video. With these doilies, when you use wet glue, you can see the wet glue through it. I'm not worried about it because, again, I'm putting my circle on there. So, let me get a block. And I'm just using the archival ink that I always use. It's the Ranger. I actually really like it. Of course, I've gotten out of that whole ideology of I have to buy all the newest, greatest things, you know. I've gotten myself out of that ideology. I'm going to put this up a little ways. And yes, it's upside down. I'm okay with that. I think it'll be all right. Now I'm just going to use my glitter glue to stick it down. Oop. And I put it over and up so that I can put my little hearts on there. And my little characters. Let's see, let's put our pancakes in there. We'll stick them right down here in the corner. And I don't know how I did this little cherry stem and made it look halfway decent. I'm not going to question it. I'm just going to be grateful for it. Because I am awful at fussy cutting. I'm getting better, but I'm still awful at it. All right. I think I'm going to have to put a little bit of glue under these right here. There we go. I'm shaky today. So yeah, I was talking to him for, like I said, over 2 hours. And it was just such a blessing that he called today. I answered the phone and I said, well, hello. And he said, hi. I said, I was just thinking about you yesterday, which I was. And he said, oh, yeah? And I said, yes. And he said, well, you know, every now and then I just wonder how my Kimberly's doing. I just started laughing because he's always called me his Kimberly. Such a blessing he is. He's had Gardner syndrome all his life. So he gets tumors, both bone tumors and soft tissue tumors. And he first had his very first surgery when he was under 2 years old. So that's all he's ever known. And it's affected him tremendously in his life. He always has such a positive, beautiful outlook. And he's just a blessing, an absolute blessing. I had boyfriends when I was young who'd get so jealous of him because he and I were inseparable. We were thick as thieves, I promise you. And the funny thing was, we lived like 25 miles apart, but he had a driver's license at the time. I was too young to have one. And he would drive that 20-something miles just for us to go have lunch somewhere or hang out. Just a beautiful, beautiful soul. One of them blessings that I have always known was a blessing and have always thanked God for. I found my little red hearts and I put one of those on there, and then I took my Winkostella pen and I went all around this brown part, which is supposed to be the syrup, and I did the lid, and then I did the butter and inside the mouth and the eyes of both with just this little guy. I might at some point put some glossy accents on the eyes and maybe on the glass, I definitely will on the glass portion of the bottle that doesn't have syrup in it. Because I have this yellow here on the butter, I'm going to use these yellow enamel dots on it. I was going to use some red ones, but I changed my mind because I have that yellow on there. Would you get back in the package? Oh, good grief, I'll mess with it later. Because I have these that I got at Tuesday Morning a long time ago that has this pretty red, and it has this mustard color yellow, but the bright color matched my butter better. Say that 5 times real fast. So, I'm going to pop a few of these on here, and then we'll be done. Come on, come off there. Get off there. It's stuck. Uh-oh. Now I got it stuck somewhere I don't want it. There. Thanks for spending a little bit of time with me. I certainly appreciate it. I hope you all have a great day and a glorious tomorrow. Bye, guys.